Imagine it's 1912. The world is on the cusp of great change, and in the quiet English village of Piltdown, a discovery is about to be announced that will rewrite the story of human evolution. A lawyer and amateur archaeologist named Charles Dawson claims to have found the fossilized remains of an ancient human ancestor, a creature that perfectly bridges the gap between ape and man. This was it, the missing link everyone had been searching for. The scientific community was ecstatic. They named it Eoanthropus dawsoni, or Dawson's Dawn Man. For decades, Piltdown Man was celebrated as a British national treasure. It was a source of immense pride, proving that the earliest humans had originated not in Africa or Asia, but right there in England. Textbooks were rewritten, museum exhibits were built. An entire generation of scientists built their careers around studying and interpreting these incredible fossils. The skull was clearly human-like, with a large brain capacity, while the jaw was distinctly ape-like, complete with molars that showed human-style wear and tear. It was the perfect combination, almost too perfect. But from the very beginning, there were whispers of doubt. A few skeptical scientists pointed out inconsistencies. The jaw just didn't quite fit with the skull. The wear on the teeth looked artificial. And why were no other similar fossils ever found? These dissenting voices, however, were largely ignored. The desire for Piltdown Man to be real was just too strong. It fit the prevailing theories of the time, which suggested that the brain evolved first, and the rest of the body followed. Piltdown Man was the poster child for this idea. Let's fast forward to the late 1940s and early 1950s. Science had made incredible leaps. New dating techniques were being developed, particularly fluorine absorption testing. This method allows scientists to determine the relative age of bones found at the same site. Essentially, the longer a bone is in the ground, the more fluorine it absorbs from the soil and groundwater. When a scientist named Kenneth Oakley at the British Museum finally got permission to test the Piltdown fossils, the results were shocking. The human skull fragments and the ape-like jawbone had absorbed vastly different amounts of fluorine. This meant they couldn't possibly have come from the same time period, let alone the same individual. The skull was indeed ancient, but only about 50,000 years old. A modern human. The jaw, however, was much younger. It was practically modern. The great missing link was a fraud, a composite, a lie. Once the initial tests blew the case wide open, a full-scale investigation began. Scientists scrutinized every inch of the fossils. What they found was a level of deception that was both crude and cunning. The jawbone was revealed to have come from an orangutan. The teeth had been deliberately filed down to mimic human wear patterns. Close examination under a microscope revealed the file marks. The dark, aged-looking stain on the bones. It was a simple chemical solution, likely potassium dichromate and iron sulfate, painted on to make them look ancient and match the local gravel where they were found. Even the other animal fossils and primitive tools discovered alongside Piltdown Man were part of the scam. An elephant bone tool turned out to be carved with a modern steel knife. The whole collection was a carefully assembled jumble of fakes, planted in the Piltdown gravel pit for Charles Dawson to conveniently discover. The 40-year-old lie had completely unraveled. The scientific world was stunned and deeply embarrassed. How could so many brilliant minds have been fooled for so long? The fallout was immense. Piltdown Man became a cautionary tale about the dangers of confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that confirms pre-existing beliefs. The scientific community wanted to believe in a British first human, and this desire clouded their judgment. It set the study of human evolution back by decades, as researchers wasted time and effort trying to fit genuine fossil discoveries, like the Tom child from Africa, into a flawed timeline dominated by the fake Piltdown Man. But this leads us to the biggest question of all. Who did it? Who was the mastermind behind this elaborate hoax? The prime suspect has always been Charles Dawson himself, the man who found the fossils. He had a history of other questionable discoveries, and certainly had the most to gain in terms of fame and recognition. He was desperate to be accepted into the prestigious Royal Society, and this discovery was his golden ticket. Conveniently, he died in 1916, long before the hoax was exposed, taking his secrets with him. However, Dawson likely wasn't smart enough to pull it off alone. Many believe he had an accomplice, or that he was even a pawn in someone else's game. One fascinating suspect is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. He lived near Piltdown, was an amateur fossil collector, and had a known grudge against the scientific establishment for dismissing his belief in spiritualism. Could he have planted the fossils as a grand prank to make fools of the experts, a real-life mystery for the world to solve. It's a tantalizing theory. Another compelling suspect is Martin Hinton, a museum volunteer who later became a keeper of zoology at the Natural History Museum. Hinton reportedly had a falling out with Arthur Smith Woodward, the keeper of geology who championed Dawson's find. Decades later, a trunk belonging to Hinton was found in the museum's attic. Inside was a collection of bones stained and carved in the exact same manner as the Piltdown fakes. Was this Hinton practicing his forging techniques? Or was he onto the hoax early on and trying to create his own fakes to expose it, but lost his nerve? The Piltdown hoax remains one of the greatest scientific frauds in history. It's a story of ambition, deception, and the powerful human desire to believe. It teaches us that science is not just about brilliant discoveries. It's a self-correcting process. It's about questioning, testing, and being willing to admit when you're wrong, even when it means dismantling a national icon. The story serves as a permanent reminder to scientists and to all of us to approach extraordinary claims with healthy skepticism. The case was officially closed, but the mystery of who was truly behind the 40-year lie may never be solved, leaving us with a fascinating whodunit that continues to intrigue us to this day. What do you think? Was it the ambitious amateur, the disgruntled author, or the clever museum worker? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest hoaxes, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories from the strange side of science and history. See you next time.